Yes, hello and welcome to First Crack. We've got a massive show ahead. We've got the Lions and the Demons on the agenda. My name is Jay Clark. I'm joined by the two best analysts in football. There's a great David King. Hello, Kingy.
Hello, boys.
And
Kingy,
Lee
Jay.
Montagna. Hello to you. What a day of footy it was. And tonight, the Eagles with the big upset of the GWS Giants by 17 points. What a game that was. St Kilda by 36 over the Tigers. And Fremantle did the job early on the Bombers by 43 points. And Joey leaves the round 10 ladder looking like this. And the Bulldogs, my friend, are just hanging on in 10th.
Yeah, they're the ones, the big sliders from the weekend, as were Brisbane, slipping out of the top six. But if you look there between 3rd and 8th now, there's just one game separating those spots on the ladder. So as we get towards the middle part of the season, you do feel there's going to be one team that'll be very stiff to miss out on that top six. And you have to be in the top six if you want to win the premiership this year. There's no doubt about that. But some separation now at the top. Those two teams, 2 games and percentage are clear, which is going to be important for them. And St Kilda getting back into that wildcard mix.
Is the 10 set yet? I know you're big on that.
The 10 set yet? No, I still think Collingwood have got a big part in this season. We'll touch on them later. I thought they were excellent against Sydney Swans. So I think they are the most likely from that group there to be able to jump in. And, hey, West Coast only 2 games out of the top 10, if for those that want to be optimistic.
This would be a disaster for the Giants to finish 13th, or even to miss the 10. The Kangaroos got a good draw.
Yep.
Maxie Lawton nearly talked us into him a couple of weeks ago.
He nearly did. We held fire.
Still a chance.
Yep.
But the rest are all she wrote.
Worrying loss for the Kangaroos. We'll get to that shortly, Kingy. But it is time for your first crack.
Yes. Now, my first... Do you believe in history before we start?
Big believer.
Always.
And if it never lies, right? And rarely, okay. Can see that. The she'll be right approach to me doesn't ring true across when you look at the defensive side of the game. The defensive numbers don't lie. And I think we always look back and say, oh, you know what, there were signs that this was going wrong way back at round 6, round 8, round 10. Now, I've picked round 10 to bring this topic to the table, and I'm going to stick with the defensive numbers that Sheely just points against. And every year we say, they'll be right, she'll be right, they'll get going, they'll be fine. And we are doing that right now with the Brisbane Lions. And I think we've just got to be careful that it's not a false read, because we may look back at the end of the season and say, you know what, the numbers were spot on. They sit 6 and 4, but they've got problems defensively. I want to step through the last few years and just show you what it looks like, because we never think the previous year's Premier are going to fall off the cliff. And they don't fall off the cliff at round 1. It's about this period of the year and against the best where they go awry. So Geelong win it in 2022 with the best defence in the comp, coughing up 66 points. At round 10 the next year, it's 3 goals poorer, mid-table. They're sitting 7th, but we all say, you know what, they'll be right. They're the Premier. They'll be fine. They finish 12th. Out they go. The next year, we look at Collingwood. Everyone would have said she'll be right. We look at Collingwood. 72 points. Previous year, the premiership year, sitting second best in the competition. At round 10, slipped 9 points. It's an emotional thing. It's a mental thing. You just drop off a fraction. Everyone just drops off. What are you seeing at Brisbane? Everyone dropping off. 8th on the ladder. She'll be right. They'll be fine. They're the previous out in 10th at the end of the season. You track forward. The next Premier, the Brisbane Lions. Now, they only slipped 4 points. Now, I'm not as concerned. Clearly, they went on and won the flag from this position, but they still were in...
They held.
They held. So they slipped to 7th, which was a concern, but they held ground 76 back to 80. So not as concerned about that. Go through the next slide I want to show you, which is where we sit right now. This is a problem. 78 back to 89. So it's back to bottom 10, 10th in the competition. They sit 7th, and everyone's just saying, it's Brisbane, she'll be right. Now, I don't know whether that's right. I actually don't believe that's the case. I think that Chris Fagan knows that there's trauma and there's trouble on the horizon. They need to gather. They need a powwow. And it's now is the time. If you wait any longer and allow these habits to creep in that we are seeing, and you can blame injuries, but all those other teams had injuries. All those other teams had challenges. Everyone was getting up to play those teams because they were the Premier. These are the back-to-back Premiers. Everyone's coming for Brisbane, so that's not going to subside. So I don't think she'll be right. Will be the case with Brisbane. Now, I'm not saying they can't win it or anything silly like that, but for Chris Fagan to sit and see the numbers and deny it right now would be foolish. This is the snapshot of the year. You can see there there's a winnable patch coming, but I'm not worried about who they beat that's mid-table or below. I'm talking about the very best in the competition. And the scores that they've been conceding against the very best are alarming. Against the top 8 last year, they conceded an average of 74 points, which was only behind the Adelaide Crows in the competition. 111, 104, 104, 117. They're nowhere near 74. They're nowhere near 80. So you say, OK, the stand rules made a difference here or there. It hasn't made that much of a difference. So I say right now, it's time for Brisbane to bring them in.
To face up.
Sit down and say, what are we doing here? Does it mean enough to you? Does it still mean the same to you? Because I don't think it does. And this is not a go at Brisbane. They've been unbelievable. We love them. Back-to-back premiers. But they've got problems.
It's a fair call, and later on in the show I'm going to show some of the Geelong transition, but in that you will see exactly what you're talking about as some of the Brisbane Lions players not prepared to maybe do the work that they would have done in previous years without the footy in hand.
So these are the team issues that we're talking about. You can have a chat during these these bits of vision here, because their pressure's nowhere near where it was last year. Their pressure's dropped right away. They were mid-table last year, 9th. Now they're 16th. So getting them rounded off. So Zorko's not there, but Zorko's not going to be there forever. And there's got enough senior players behind the ball to round this off. So Fletcher just rolls up, Card's a different man. Coleman's now got 2. Ball comes down the middle of the corridor and all of a sudden you're in trouble. Now Cameron sets up high and charges back. No one really covers for him. It's Jeremy Cameron. So there's not a lot of care in the team. There's not a lot of care in the group of 6. And this is just evident all night, the other night, and it has been against the best teams. So I'm not worried about the bottom 3 or 4 teams in the competition. Look at this. They just charge. There's no heads really turning here. There's nothing really happening from a leadership point of view. There's nothing really happening from an intensity point of view. It's one shot at it. You know what, bugger it. They got through. Too good, Geelong. There's 3, 4, 5 players out here. Now, I haven't seen this happen to them like this or to these levels. They've got a player free in the square. Now, Jeremy kicks the goal, but there's players out everywhere. So I don't know what you guys think, but this, to me, is a point in time where if you are to win 3 in a row, you need to stamp this now.
Is there a bit too much maybe confidence in their offence? Because their offence is pretty strong, that they just think, OK, well, you got it there, but we'll score back at you the other way.
Yeah, it's a dangerous way to play, isn't it? And it doesn't win flags. I mean, it's still going to be great to watch, and they still pose a threat, and they can still beat anyone on every given day. I'm not saying all of a sudden they can't play, but if you allow the best in the comp those luxuries, you're not holding the cup.
You put this on the table, though, with the change in the game and the forward handball in particular. The teams who've scored 100 points against Brisbane have been the Melbourne, Sydney's, the Geelong, who are all very aggressive with their run and forward handball. So I just wonder, that wouldn't be the only team in the competition who are recalibrating defensively because of this tsunami and surge that we're seeing. So is part of that just the big shift? And is this particular style of game giving them trouble?
Well, it could be, but then sometimes teams like and coaching staff such as Geelong show you a way to do it. And Harris Andrews was tagged really well. And when he wasn't tagged, when he rolled to a different player, and we'll show some vision here, he was taken really high up the field. So he was put into positions he didn't want to be in. And it's only subtle. It's a block like that. That just takes away that moment where he could have maybe marked the ball. Now all of a sudden he's a spoiler. Same again here. Just little moments, little blocks, little checks. Yep, got him covered. Now normally he release and go at the ball. Just a check there. Now he's not a marker anymore. He should have marked that ball, Martin. He dropped it. But Harris Andrews had no play on that ball. They dragged him up high. He doesn't want to be there. He wants to be a line back. I want to be back 30, 40, 50 metres from here. Hang on, who's going to round? Oh, OK. No one's really rolling and changing and help him. So he's stuck. He's stuck. You can see Henry's trying to get to him, but they say, OK, we're happy with where he is. If we can get a clean break from here, then we have got him exactly where we want him. Guess what happens? They get a clean break. There's the guy that's nominal tag, and they're out and gone. Speed on the ball, in deep, get a match up you like. Now, Danger would normally mark that. And when he's ready to roll, he's a September man. I'm not worried about Danger right now. But the best in the competition can do that. So I am not putting a line through Brisbane. No. But if nothing changes, then they'll just peter out. And they'll do what those other 5 or 6 premiers that we just showed have done over the last 5 to 6 years.
It's interesting. Great body, interesting body language, because he looks uncomfortable there. But that's Frampton in the 2023 grand final, playing that forward tagging role. So opposition teams who beat Brisbane put work into Andrews. They've done over the past couple of years. So that's a really good vision, Kingy, and the genius of Chris Scott at play again. Right.